Out of the hotel and into the night, Buckle ran through the empty and foggy streets of Bilmo. Buckle had not noticed this before, but the air held a slight stench of rot within the white mist that shrouded the empty streets in front of him. All he could hear as he ran through this derelict town were his own footsteps and breath that echoed rather loudly throughout this ghost town. He eventually found himself across the market area, only a good 10 to 20 minutes away from the shopping centre he was trying to get to. He checked his watch and was relieved to see that he still had a good 20 to 30 minutes left before his shift started, as the time was now only 6:28 p.m. He walked past the empty market area where all of the tents and stalls now had black and red white covers all over them, pegged down with clamps in order to stop them from flying off due to the harsh winds. As Bucko neared the shopping centre, he had to walk through a residential area that had old cars parked up against every curb on both sides of this somewhat long road. Small houses lay on each side of the road that he walked down, and only a few places had their lights on inside. For the most part, this area of town seemed completely abandoned too, and not a single soul, except for Bucko, was in sight. Bucko found a long walk and the silence of night to be quite relaxing, and the cold air aided in cooling him down after that long run he had just embarked on. He laughed to himself as he thought about how stupid he was to be in such a panic when the shopping centre wasn't really all that far away. It was then that he heard some footsteps in the distance behind him. He stopped laughing to himself out of embarrassment and continued to walk down the street, expecting the person behind him to take over as Bucko was puffed out and walking slowly after his run. Halfway down the road, and he can still hear the footsteps going up slowly behind him. Buckle turns around to get a good look at the person, but the fog is so strong he can only make out the silhouette of a lanky man around 10 foot tall in a long dark trench coat, dressed in all black. A small bald head pops out from the large, thin and lanky figure. The man leans his head to his side while looking directly at Bucko. Bucko can't see the man's face within this fog, but the image of this tall stranger standing there in the distance, just barely out of focus, was a sight that unsettled him deeply. Bucko grounds his teeth and confronts the man, stepping forwards, raising his left hand in the air in the form of a fist. "All right, I can see you. Back off, you creep," Bucko yells at the strange man in the distance. But the tall man chuckles quietly. His voice is deep, sinister, and almost otherworldly. The man steps outwards from within the fog, and Bucko cringes at the sight of this completely bald human stepping out in front of him. The man's face is extraordinarily gaunt looking, almost like the man had not eaten for several days. His cheekbones stuck out like a sore thumb against his pale white skin that almost shone within this darkness. You could see the outline of this tall man's skull between his eyes, temples and jawline. His neck seemed to stretch out of his thick and heavy looking trench coat, and the man would bob his head to the left and right, all the while holding this unnerving and unusually wide smile that showed all of his crooked and decayed teeth. They appeared to be all chipped, sharp as razor blades. In fact, Bucko could even see that blood was forming at the top of this man's gums. He looked like a vampire straight out of a Dracula novel. He was entirely hairless, with no eyebrows, no hairline, or even facial stubble. His skin looked waxy, and you could make out small black veins within his skin that seemed to bulge at the sight of lovely, delicious Bucky Cartwright. But it was the man's eyes that really disturbed Bucky, as he appeared to have no pupils. His eyes were entirely black and hollow, like there was an endless mass of darkness within them. Bucky was petrified. He stood for a few brief moments, as he could not understand or believe what he was seeing. Then adrenaline took over him as the tall man stepped 1 foot closer towards him. Bucky screamed, turned around and ran down the endless looking street that somehow looked a lot longer now than it once did before. He could hear the freak's footsteps running behind him now, getting closer and closer with every breathing moment. Bucky dived in between a row of parked cars and hid from the demon. This monster, this vampire, he had no idea what the hell this thing was, but by the way it ran at such unusual speeds, the way it looked and sounded, he had this very disturbing revelation that whatever he just saw was not entirely human. He heard, then seeing the shadow of this thing run past the cars he was hiding in between. Bucky popped his head out over the car bonnet he was hiding behind and seeing the monster near enough fly up into the air and out of sight, back into the fog like some bat that just caught some prey. After a minute or so, Bucky left the area and made his way over towards the shopping centre to get to his job.